Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Backcast, where I, Adam Upper, talk with Braydon Kenny about Batman, the animated series. And this week's episode is a special one because it's Fires from Olympus. And it'll also have Rivers Langley with us this week from Goods for the Woods. How you doing today, sir?
Howdy, folks. I got my gauntlets on. I'm ready to battle the scourges of Gotham City.
Or one of the another more delusional villains of Batman.
Yes, I'm ready to do battle with mental patients from one side of this squalid metropolis to the other.
But they're rich mental patients in this case, so we're that's more than welcome to incur violence.
Oh yeah.
But as I said, yes, this week's episode is Fires from Olympus. It is the 63rd episode produced, and it's the 60th episode to air, having it air May 24th, 1993. Do you remember what you were doing May 24th, 1993, Rivers?
Oh, I was participating in the PKK attack for the Kurdistan Workers' Party in Turkey.
What?
You get around.
Yeah, no, I just looked up what happened on May 24th, 1993. If there was anything interesting, and that's the one thing that came up. Apparently, a Kurdish Workers' Party attacked the Turkish military on a highway. So that's what I was doing. I was fighting for a free Kurdistan. Fuck Mustafa Kemal Ataturk.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh fuck.
I do have I do have a Panama hat like he used to wear. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk was the first. He was the first president of Turkey after the Ottoman Empire was dissolved,
Oh, okay.
and he was a secularist, which was rare in that country. And everybody wore the fez, and the fez hat is a hat that exists so that you can put your head to the ground in prayer. And Mustafa Kemal Ataturk wore a gigantic Panama hat as like a fuck you to the religious part of the country. And then also did the Armenian genocide. So, strikes and gutters.
Oh, you mean that thing that everybody says doesn't exist?
This is not in LA, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hearing like more and more about like the thing. It's like, why are we like doing this like denial of like a genocide? Like, what profit do we have to pretend like it didn't exist? Like, I don't understand that.
Well, in our case, we have a very advantageous working relationship with Turkey because of their relation to Russia and where we can keep our weapons.
Ah,
So
okay.
so we got to keep them happy. Unfortunately, Armenia is not in missile range of Moscow, I guess.
Got to placate the dictator. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this episode was recommended by Adam, and as soon as he said, like, we got to get Rivers on for this one, I was like, you beautiful genius. Like, this is so like Rivers' cup of tea, like just a crazy billionaire who has a god complex. Like,
Yeah, that's literally my first note. This is the story of a CEO who is bad at his job and becomes insane, and that's has no real world applications in any way.
no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's not a single one of those that I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah, and Maxie Zeus is one of those villains in the Batman mythos that he's kind of pops in and out like very sporadically because he's kind of got the same thing as Bane is like once you have him, like what else do you do with him? But
Yeah. So I looked into this, and maybe you guys are probably in a better position to confirm or deny this, but the character comes out in 1979. Is
Yeah.
this just the Batman's comics way of getting around ABC owning the rights to King Tut? Because they
oh,
have roughly the same origin story. If people listening don't know, I think one of the only lasting comic book legacies of the Adam West Batman show, in terms of a villain that actually got spun off into the comics that was created for that show, has my all-time favorite origin story for any Batman villain, which is King Tut, who was an Egyptologist college professor who I guess crossed a picket line when the students seized his Egyptology building at Yale, and he got hit in the head with a rock, and he woke up from a coma believing he was King Tut. So he is, kind of the perfect product of the way that show was always written, where Batman is essentially Joe Friday battling the counterculture and stuff like that. So it's like, look what you did, you stupid kids, you made this humble college professor into a maniac.
So
But he
you
has
went
this,
from scab to pharaoh. That's awesome.
yes,
Look,
yes.
look what you did to Steve Martin. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my favorite detail of that character is every time he gets hit on the head, he temporarily goes back to his old self, and so he has to like work to get back to being a villain. Like his plans are already in motion, so if he gets hit in the head, he's like, "Fuck, I gotta turn evil again," and then
So
he
he's got to
does.
bonk his head again to reset himself.
Literally, yeah, and like every time Batman like punches him in the face, like he goes back to being a normal guy, and I'm like, this is fascinating.
He's like Memento, but with more concussions. That's hilarious.
There's so much you could do with this character, but again, it was created for the TV show,
Yes.
and ABC like held onto those rights, for years. I guess you couldn't do it on TV, and probably, I assume, probably not even like in the comics and stuff like that, because this comes out. Maxie Zeus is created in '79, which is obviously after 1966 when the Batman show comes out, and I feel like this is just them being like, okay, let's kind of do the same thing, except he's a Greek mythology teacher, I think, in the comic books, and his wife dies, and he goes crazy. But it's it's fantastic. But yeah, apparently there was something I was reading that for this particular episode they wanted to do King Tut, but ABC was like, "Fuck off, you can't have the rights."
Boo.
Yeah.
I mean, we got like a pretty decent substitution in Maxie Zeus, but yeah,
Sure.
no, that is kind of like, just based on the timeline you're kind of laying out there, that wouldn't be a stretch out of the realm of possibility. Like, especially when like a lot of like, comic creations of that era were like just take like Shazam and Captain Marvel, for instance, where it's like you can use this, but you can't use that. So yeah, I could absolutely see this being like the accidental origin of Maxie Zeus. I never crossed those lines together, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and apparently this character does, I read, pops up in the Nightfall series where Bane breaks him out of Arkham, and he is foiled by a tree. He runs into a tree, and that's the end of his run.
That's hilarious. Mighty Zeus be fallen by a cedar.
Yes, straight up. And I didn't look any deeper to see what the exact circumstances were of him running into a tree, but boy, that's fucking
That would be
hilarious.
funny if there was like a lightning bolt hit it or something that you called
Yeah, yeah.
But the second he gets out of Arkham, he gets hit by the tree.
Yeah. So,
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I gotta reread Nightfall now just for that.
Oh yeah, I have it too. It's just like right over there. It's been a while since I read that, so I guess I gotta read that again as well.
yeah. And I wanted to shout out Victor Buono, who plays King Tut in the original Batman series, who people might know from the amazing movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. That one is a great film if you've never seen it.
I actually don't know what that is.
Oh, it's all about it's a completely not relevant at all to today's society film about how child stars are fucked up and murderous sometimes. Show business does a number on people's brains.
I'm gonna say something
You
that
don't
you
say.
guys are absolutely gonna mock me for. I always get What Happened to Baby Jane and Rosemary's Baby mixed up.
Oh yeah, those are very different. Satan does not appear in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, but it's quite good.
Not in his true form, but maybe in human form.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, this episode opens with these. It's Gordon like waiting for this like contact to meet him in an alley. He's like, he's late. Like, where is this guy? This guy, I think it's like Yanni Stavros or something.
Yeah, Stavi baby.
Yeah. But I'm like, well, bleeding into the Greek. Yeah, I can deal with that. Yeah.
I mean, in 1993, we're talking about the height of Yanni here, like the actual, the
Oh
musician
yeah.
Yanni. So I feel like they were just like, all right, what's a Greek name? Yanni.
Yeah, and he's like on the run when these like thugs get sicked on him, and they're like, "You're gonna report to the boss." Like, he knows what you're up to, and so he runs for his life. And this car corners him into like an alley where there's these like tires like all like piled up against the wall. And we don't see the boss, like, but we see his silhouette. He's wearing like sandals and looks like he's like half naked. And he has
Yeah.
this like
Well, more importantly, we see the gigantic logo for Maximilian Shipping Lines on the side of the car. It's like, hey, when you do crimes, don't do it in the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, sir. Like, it's like,
Yeah, don't bring the company cars.
yeah. Or if you do, take the sticker off the side and the license plate. Like, also, just like a practical question, and I assume that the answer, if you were to ask Paul Dini, is that Commissioner Gordon is the one trustworthy cop. He can't trust anybody else to do this. But it's like, bro, you're the commissioner. Why are you doing this street level shit right now?
yeah.
Send a guy. What's Batman up to, for fuck's sake? You guys talk all the time.
Yeah, I think being commissioner earned you be able to sleep, be able to go to sleep at 2 a.m.
Yeah, why is he in an alley at 2 a.m.? Fuck this. I didn't work this hard to get this promotion to be fucking talking to these jackholes.
Some guy, yeah.
I'm just picturing he took the car, like, it's like Mighty Zeus will claim the mileage.
Yeah. Well, and later he says that he's gathering information for the feds. It's like, you're a city cop. Tell the feds to do this shit. Fuck off.
Where is
this isn't my
FBI in
job.
this?
Yeah, this isn't my goddamn job.
Yeah. And he's like begging for, this guy to like spare his life. He's like, "You dare presume to tell mighty Zeus what to do?" And he like says like, "To the depths of Tartarus with you." And so we have this like quick exterior shot of the outside of the alley, and all of a sudden there's like a lightning strike and him screaming. And I think the next scene is them at the hospital, right? Where he's like lying in bed in like a coma. And Zeus, Gordon's like, like he was struck by lightning. That's ridiculous. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. So we're gonna come back to that part for a second.
Yeah.
Because later on we have the doctor saying like, like he was hit by like serious voltage. When we have him and Batman meet up, we have him saying like Stavros was gonna tell me about this like secret energy weapon that shoots lightning at like like it's like a top secret government project, and he shows him a videotape of the weapon. First of all, where did Gordon get this video?
Well, even more so, how did Gordon have DVDs in 1993?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a tape, it was a
It's
disc.
it's a fucking DVD. And he puts
That's
it in
amazing.
like an old school like tube television set. But yeah, it's an actual DVD.
Oh my gosh, that went over my head. That's amazing.
Yeah, which those literally didn't exist. Like maybe it's supposed to be like a CD-ROM or whatever. But I was watching that, I was like, the DVDs was like, that's a 1996 thing.
Yeah, like,
At the earliest.
that's like late 90s, yeah.
Yeah. Did they have
'cause
laser discs back then?
they have Laserdisc, but it's a CD. It's not like
laser discs are fucking like record size, like vinyl
Yeah, they're
size.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but like maybe they just took that
Yeah.
and decided to shrink it. Like,
yeah, or Warner Brothers, knew something they didn't know. Actually, I believe the very first DVD ever released was Twister, which was made by Warner Brothers. So hey,
Yep.
maybe they had some inside intel.
But even 1992, that's like pretty close to when CDs first came out too, right? I think because it's like,
CDs have been out for about 10 years at that point.
oh yeah, oh, was it that long? Okay, I thought it was closer to the 90s.
they had CDs in the 80s? That's wild.
Oh hell yeah! Well, it was like wildly expensive at the time.
Okay.
But do you guys know why CDs are 80 minutes long?
I do not.
Because the CEO of Sony wanted to be able to listen to, I forget which one, but one of Beethoven's symphonies is exactly 80 minutes, and he wanted to be able to listen to an entire Beethoven symphony without flipping the tape. And that was just like, figure this the fuck out.
What if we just got you like a live orchestra doing it? Like,
It has
like you
like
can
follow
afford
like a
that.
follow or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go to the opera, you schmuck. Like,
Yeah, but yeah, CDs. Yeah, they were around in the '80s, but yeah, again, they were like, if you remember the Adam Sandler film, The Wedding Singer,
mhm.
his the guy that Julie is going to marry has like a CD player and talks about how it was like a $500 purchase or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
I remember that scene, but I always forgot what movie that was from. Yeah, okay, yeah. So,
Yeah, 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 they were around. No, did y'all watch the Kenny G documentary on HBO?
no.
Give it a watch, Ski. It's this first season of the series Music Box, and they had an episode about DMX. They had an episode about Woodstock '99. They had an episode of Juice World, Alanis Morissette, and Kenny G. And the Kenny G one is the most psychologically shocking, I would say. Like the other ones are whatever, but anyway, one of the things that they talk about is how he essentially pioneered the genre of smooth jazz, and that its distribution was and the sound of it specifically was only possible in that like digital format. Like it's such a clean sounding kind of thing that it was, massively huge in the 80s because of that technology existing. But at any rate, I don't know why Gordon has a DVD is my point.
Yeah. Well, and even like when he's saying like, I don't understand what happened. Like, like lightning came out of nowhere. But you just told Batman that this guy was coming to you with evidence of lightning weapon. So
Yeah.
why are you acting like he's like, got magic tricks or something? Like, I don't understand.
And you heard the tires squealing too, where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, okay, there was, yeah. Gordon, go to bed is the point. You're too
Yeah, he's
old.
clearly like exhausted and like needs sleep.
Yeah, you should be
Gordon,
able to put two and two together, yeah, but no.
yeah, he needs a glass of warm milk and some tai tai. He's tai tai.
Yeah.
If he can't solve this caper,
Yeah, they have this the scene where they're talking and like they're looking at his file, and I think they see that he works for Maximilian Shipping Company, right?
yes, yeah, and that he's under investigation for selling shipping schedules to hijackers. So I guess
That's
that's
right.
his crime.
His side hustle, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then I believe that's when we cut to the top of this big like skyscraper with like like Olympian temple columns and stuff. And
Oh,
okay,
it's called the Olympus building. At one point, you
was
see,
it really?
yeah, you see Cleo standing outside, and there's a sign above the door that says the Olympus building. So yeah, I love
Oh,
that one of the tallest skyscrapers in the city just is made of marble, which seems prohibitively expensive, but whatever.
yeah. Well, hey, if Trump can build all of his things out of concrete when everybody advised him not to, then dang it, Maxie Zeus can make his buildings out of marble.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we have the introduction of Maxie Zeus, and yeah, this is an interesting character. Like, yeah, because as you mentioned, Rivers, like in the comics, he's like a Greek history teacher. Here, he's like a shipping tycoon who has basically like had a nervous breakdown and literally believes himself to be the Greek god Zeus. Like he's wearing a toga, he's got a big blue lightning bolt. His like, entire place looks like, like the Zeus's throne room. Like it's wild. Like
It-
he's gone full George Soros. Like,
yeah. I was wondering if the insinuation is that he adopted the Greek aesthetic because the building he was in is Greek in nature, or was the building constructed after he went crazy? You know,
that's a good question.
yeah, I feel like it's got to
Yeah,
be the former.
yeah,
But
and my
yes.
question was, I was wondering if he like changed his name to Maxie Zeus before like he went crazy or after, or like what begot what.
Oh no, Batman always operates under the arose by any other name philosophy, where if your name is Enigma, you're going to ask questions. You're going to ask a lot of unanswerable questions.
You might as well start getting those question mark trophies saved up and put around the
Yeah.
city.
Right, right.
So my question is because like Rivers, I think you mentioned on one of the last times we had you on here, like you've studied like Greek literature, right?
I did, yeah. So,
Yeah.
got my English degree there. Studied a lot of Greek literature and then a lot of postmodernism. So,
Okay.
about 3,000 years apart. Skipped that middle 3,000 years.
So does this guy think he's the same Zeus who's done a lot of like the other shady things that Zeus has done in Greek mythology? I have a list.
Oh
Turned
yeah,
his wife into a fly and ate her. Turned
yep,
one of his lovers into a cow to hide her from his wife.
yep.
Crippled his son Hephaestus.
Uh huh.
What?
Or confined Tantalus just out of reach of food and water. Like Zeus is a pretty messed up dude, and that's saying something if you know like what a lot of the other Greek gods have done.
Oh yeah, yeah. Turned himself into a swan at one point to
Yep.
assault a lady. Yeah, which horrifying. Swans are mean, dude. Like that's people will make fun of that. No, that's a terrifying animal.
Oh, same with like Canadian geese, man. Like, don't f with Canadian geese.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got them. We got them both at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, just guarding the grave of Pee Wee Herman.
That's great. You don't have to pay them.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I wish there was. Honestly, I wish there was more Greek stuff in here. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because the only thing that's like kind of Greek about it is the building and then the way he's dressed. And I'm like, I don't know. Like that. This is a. Did Batman ever get dropped into a maze? Like, this is a perfect opportunity for like a Minotaur situation.
Well, it's funny you say that because he did actually get dropped off in a maze with a giant grit like Minotaur automaton, but it was the Riddler episode. So it's
Oh,
again like
you burned it?
yeah,
yeah.
like the writers of BTOS have like very interesting corners that they paint themselves into when it comes to their scripts. Like I don't get that.
Yeah, they burned the Minotaur thing. Did they know they were going to do a Greek guy episode? Because that's the obvious one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Also, fucking, why is it a boar? Like, he mentions the labors of Hercules, and then he's fighting a boar. It's like, lion.
Yeah,
Leo the
Nemean,
lion, dog.
100%. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
That's
like
Does Batman fought a lion? Did they burn that on the fucking Catwoman episode or something?
I think he fought like a tiger. Well, he fought Tigress. I remember that because we had you on for that episode.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, no, like yeah, it's very interesting like how they kind of like neuter themselves in the introduction of like of Maxie Zeus. But yeah, it's funny because like when he has that part where he talks to like him over the PA and he's talking about like like Heracles. By the way, I like how they said Heracles and not Hercules
Yes, yes.
because that is an important distinction that a lot of people don't get about Greek mythology.
Yeah, because Hercules is the Roman
Yeah.
variation. Although at the end they did call Two-Face Janus, which is a Roman thing.
Yes,
So
they do a couple different like mix and matches things here.
yeah, well, and also
It's
there
a
was like
it's a gold knife thing, man. What are you talking about?
yeah, yeah. Well, there was an easy ass layup that they just didn't do, which was why wasn't one of his goons wearing an eye patch so he could be the Cyclops? Like,
Oh yeah.
easy, done, no problem. Batman would stab him in the head with a log, it'd be great.
Yeah. Isn't there like a thing in like the Greek mythos where like the I forget if it's Hercules or Perseus or Theseus, whoever fights the Cyclops, where when the Cyclops asks like, "Who are you?" and he says, "I'm no one." So when he gets blinded later, he gets asked like, "So who blinded you?" No one.
Nobody. Yeah, that's Odysseus. That's in
Odysseus. There we
that's
go.
in the Odyssey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Right
the
on.
first scene in the Odyssey. Yeah, he says he's nobody.
Yeah, I do want to when we get to the little moment there, yeah, where he's like getting all these traps from Zeus. But just to kind of touch base to where we have this introduction. So he's like sitting there at the top of his like office, Maxie Zeus. And he's like, playing with these like figurines, and his assistant Cleo is they're like kind of saying like like there's like gonna be a grand jury investigating your stuff, like I can't keep the feds off your back, like trying to like talk some sense into him. And he's just going like, "You dare speak to mighty Zeus that way? A pox on thee!" Like, just like this guy's completely off his gourd. And even she's like, "Oh, again with the frickin' Greek crap." And so he's
Yeah, there's a what is it? There's a line where he says, God, what is it? You know the boss in Greek stuff. It's his thing.
yeah.
And you're like, guys, get out of there. He's got
I think this is slightly above being his thing.
yeah. It's just it's so goddamn funny. Where it's like,
It's above
guys,
fetish. It's like, yeah, it's his whole world at this point.
yeah, and also, how many chess pieces does this guy have? Because the whole episode is just him crushing them and melting them,
Yeah.
and also one of the pieces on that game board does just appear to be Cleo in her regular like pantsuit, just hanging out.
Yeah, how does he juxtapose that? Because he thinks he's in like ancient Greece, but she's like, yeah, her figurine is like wearing modern clothing. Like, I don't know, like it's kind of one of those things you got to wonder, like, from his POV, how he's like rationalizing or irrationalizing this. Like,
Well, her last name is Drukas, so she's a Greek lady too. So it's like, all
there you
right,
go.
yeah, I guess it fits.
Yeah.
It's his Hera.
But yeah, he's getting like told by her, like, like you've had like a nervous breakdown, and like you were so like well, actually it wasn't so much a nervous breakdown as it was like he was getting away with so much smuggling that like he basically developed a god complex and thought he was invincible. So then decided to take the leap into actually believing he was like Zeus reincarnated.
Yeah, I wrote down the actual quote. She tells Batman, business got bad, and he started handling cargo for the mob. After a while, the pressure, the tension, things got confused. He's not living in the real world anymore. Maybe you can relate to that. And I'm just like, that's kind of the Jack Ruby thing, right? Like he killed Lee Harvey Oswald and then suddenly went fucking crazy for some reason after the government talked to him for a little bit. Uh,
Was that before or after MK Ultra? Because I don't think there's a coincidence there.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's referenced in Batman Begins as well because the original guy, I think it's Carmine Falcone, gets he's ready to squeal on Ra's al Ghul, and Scarecrow shoots him with the crazy gas, and you're like, yeah, they did that. They fucking did that to Jack Ruby.
CIA comes to Jonathan Crane. Would you like a job?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, it's like it's kind of an interesting different take on it. And like I just love that, like, not only is this because like if you know the comic like picture of Maxie Zeus, he's this skinny looking balding guy. But here, this dude is buff. Like, oh my gosh, he fills out that toga.
That's one of the things that's interesting with this is because you see him and like very few of the Batman rogues gallery are like a physical threat to Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like there's Bane, Killer Croc, and shit like that, but most of them are like skinny nerds with machinations, as opposed to this guy who is as big, if not bigger, than Batman. So you're like, oh, obviously they're gonna have a knockdown drag out, and then it's like, nope, Batman just flips him on a table and beats his ass, and that's it. That's all they got. And you're like, why did you make him huge then?
I know, it's such a like ripoff, like just like this dude who's like probably like maybe not Bane size, but like he probably about the same size as like Killer Croc, and ripped to crap, man. Like like this dude's pecs were popping out like 3D, like.
Or is just like Terry in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's like, these muscles are just for show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's totally white Terry. Maxie needed the denari. Yeah, but yeah, so I think she's trying to talk sense to him, and yeah, like he's just not having it. He's just, completely on like a different level of like, living. And I believe that's when Batman shows up, and Zeus thinks that this is Hades.
I thought that was great. I really did. I thought that was a great touch. But I just like how little detecting was involved for the world's greatest detective on this one. It was just like A to B. Gordon's like, oh, this is the guy. And then it's just like 2 seconds later, he just shows up on the roof, which I'll talk about again in a second as the plot goes along. But yeah, I just love that he just rolls up on him and gets a good idea of his weapon system immediately, where he's like has the gargoyles that have machine guns for eyes. So he kind of knows, he's like, all right, he's got 6 unmounted machine guns up here, and he's got a staff that shoots lightning. Okay, cool. Now I have to, get an elaborate plan to go from the bottom of this tower to the top instead of just coming back and taking out the 6 guns with my plane that shoots missiles demonstrably.
Yeah, it's like, how did I get here? It's like, you took a stealth aircraft fighter. Use it.
Yeah, this motherfucker has to go to bed at some point. Even crazy people sleep. Just wait till he goes to bed, shoot the gargoyles, and then fucking take his shit down. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so he comes up to who he presumes to be his brother Hades and says, like, I'd like to offer you the nectar of the gods. So I want to ask you this specifically, Rivers. For Maxie Zeus, what would you brand his energy drink franchise?
Ooh, I mean, Olympus is not bad. There's,
Yep.
work out like a god or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff from the Greek canon. You could rock an Adonis. You could rock a Helios, perhaps. Some kind
Helios
of
is
thing.
good.
Yeah, Helios is good. There is Ray's energy drink has an Apollo flavor, but I think it is more a reference to the Apollo mission because it's rocket pop, like red, white, and blue bomb pop flavored.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's why it's called that. It's got like American flag, Statue of Liberty, and shit on there, and it's called Apollo. But
That sounds more like Apollo Creed.
yeah, potentially. Yeah. So yeah, I'd go with one of those, perhaps, or make the wine that the men in the Odyssey drink that turns them into pigs.
Oh,
perhaps. Yeah. So,
Cersei's brew.
That'd be Cersei's brew. That would be the protein one that makes you fat if you don't work out. It turns you into a pig. That's the Hulk and bulk version.
That's how he got so juiced.
Yeah.
He was drinking his own Kool-Aid in more ways than one.
Yeah, that's right. And then the boar that Batman has to fight, of course, was a guy who didn't do it right.
There you go. It comes full circle. I like it. But yeah, no, that was like, I think the exact reason why, like, when Adam suggested this episode for you, I'm like, okay, this is where Rivers lives, just talking about crazy rich people and their like arrogant god complexes. Except here, he literally thinks he's a god.
Yeah, well, it's not. I mean, we've talked about on our podcast, and this story just keeps unfurling more and more about one of the first investors in Venmo. Who is a guy named Brian Johnson, who literally is trying to live forever. And he's, I don't know, in his 40s, and he looks 1,000 years old now.
Yeah,
Like,
they came out recently, and I think they said, like, it's aging him faster.
Yeah, he looks horrifying. He looks like he, drank out of the Holy Grail, or the wrong Holy Grail, like 2 seconds earlier. Like, he hasn't turned into a full-on skull man, but his face is smoothed out.
Just starting that turn.
Yeah. He took a peek inside the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. Yeah, this dude's gonna be Skeletor in like the next 10 years if he lives that long. It's not gonna be an open casket funeral.
Yeah, well, and, there's all this horrifying, I mean, like, straight up Batman level shit where, like, he has, like, a teenage son that is his blood boy.
Yeah.
Like, he, like, takes his son's blood and gets, like, transfusions of it, and then is, like, going to, an island off the coast of Honduras to get treatments, stem cells and just shit injected into his face. And you're like, this guy, I mean, this guy is a Batman villain.
Yeah. Cross between a Bond villain and a Batman villain, except, it's such a, well, I guess more Venmo thing, but that kind of tracks for today's look at a peek in the elite.
Oh, dude, Elon got some gnarly ass plastic surgery, by the way. I don't know if you've seen that. Oh, there is my buddy sent me a picture where he looks like Joe Biden, where he's got the face like pulled back in such
He's
a
like, he looks always surprised now.
dude. Yeah, like let's see if I can show you. This is great for your visuals, but
Yeah,
uh,
he looks like the bad guys from Star Trek Insurrection.
yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
fucking wild.
Yeah, like Jeff Murray Abraham or F. Murray Abraham, just like like the folds of skin on the back of his skull. Like it's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean it's it's kind of fun that all of the the rich crazy people are all either getting plastic surgery or doing Ozempic, so they're all really easy to pick out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They're all Clayface folks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see this Zeus guy going for Ozempic, but it'd be like Olympic or something. I don't know.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Yeah. That's probably another reason how he got buff. But yeah, Batman is just kind of rolling with this guy, thinking like he's Hades, god of the underworld. He's just like, whatever, like And so he's like, like, how did you, what did you do with this lightning weapon? It's like, I doth need no lightning weapon. I have this, lightning bolt right here. And
I have
like,
this lightning weapon.
Yeah.
This smaller, impossible lightning weapon I shouldn't have.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess he like took like the designs for this thing and like miniaturized it in like a smaller form. And yeah, use it to like, melt one of like the action figures on the chessboard.
Yeah, which honestly seems like maybe a bigger threat than having a big one if you just gave a bunch of street criminals the power of lightning.
Yeah. Well, even like if he stabs Batman with this thing and like turns it on, does like Batman explode? Like, like
I mean, you see he hits one of his guys with it later and he at least like, goes flying. So I'm sure
yeah.
if he, touched him with it, it probably wouldn't be good.
And one of my favorite things is when like he says like he's talking to Batman, he's like, be wary of your words around like yonder mortals or whatever, like he's saying. And so like Cleo goes downstairs and talks to the thugs, and the thug is like, Batman's up there? What do we do? And the other guy's like, I am not going up there. Like he knows his priorities. It's like, the only thing that scares me more about my boss literally thinking he's the god of thunder is Batman.
Yeah. Well, I think the exact words is if he needs us, he'll holler.
Yeah.
I was like, seems like he's probably going to need you because, you're doing crimes and that's Batman.
Yeah. You're probably going down with him. And when I say probably, I mean absolutely. Like,
yeah, I don't.
I imagine he's probably Zeus is probably not paid him enough to go like willingly try and deal with Batman. So if like Batman surprises you, yeah, try and put up a fight, but not be like, hey, I'm going upstairs to deal with Batman. I'm like fucking leaving. See ya.
Yeah.
Right. I'm getting kidnap woman money, not fight Batman money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking to that, so Cleo, she leaves her apartment as Zeus is telling like Batman like I forget why he tells him to leave. Like he just like basically says like I've had enough of you. Even Batman's kind of like, okay, you're like absolutely insane. I mean, that's kind of comes with your territory, Bruce, but whatever. So he like gets in the jet and like flies off, and he traces Cleo to his apartment or to her like her little like condo, right?
Yeah. I'm one thing that occurs to me just now is like they kind of play fast and loose with how plugged in Bruce Wayne is to the billionaire scene in Gotham, because like sometimes it's a guy that like, oh, I've known this guy for years, and then it's like, how do you not know? Like, why wouldn't every billionaire in Gotham be talking about this insane man who runs a legit business? Like he's got this, they say one of the world's largest shipping companies. So like surely Bruce would have some familiarity with this guy. Like none of this should be a shock. It should be like, oh yeah, that fucking nutty guy that I had to, see at the country club or whatever.
Yeah. Like when this guy shows up to like a board of directors meeting, does he show up in the toga? Like,
Yeah, why would yeah, if it's like the world's largest shipping company, why was he not removed by the board of directors at
No
this point?
kidding.
I mean I guess you
Well,
could say the same thing for like Elon Musk or whatever, but still if we're whatever, yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty wild.
but also the thing is though, like out of this so far in the Gotham side CEOs, one is Maxie Zeus, the other one's Batman. What are the other CEOs like? Would they notice this crazy, or are they all this level of crazy, just slightly different, so it wouldn't go like unnoticed?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It is a funny idea that like every billionaire in Gotham has a insane alter ego.
Yeah.
They're all just fighting each other.
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean that's not bad for commentary just on rich people in general, where it's like, yeah, kind of
100%.
everybody's got their weird fucking thing, and we could all name it. Just name a CEO, and I can tell you his weird thing.
Does that make like Bruce Wayne like the Justin Bieber of like no like rich people? Because remember when he first came onto the scene, everybody was like just trying to dig up dirt on him, and it's like yeah, but like he's Batman, so like like you don't have to do that much of a stretch. Like
Yeah, yeah. Although I don't know, he's because the Wayne family's been rich forever, so he'd be more like your. I don't know. I'm trying to think. He'd be more of like the J.P. Morgan. He's Chevy Chase. He's the Chevy Chase of the.
oh
of the
no.
thing. Yeah. Did you know that Chevy Chase is the scion of the Chase banking fortune?
I mean, that
Oh,
would
really?
explain a lot for his personality and like his just entitlement.
Yeah, his real name is like Charles Chase the 15th or something. Like he is
15th, holy shit.
not really, but something to that effect.
So pretty much what you're saying is like, aside from like the towelettes, he is in fact Pierce Hawthorne.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is that making it in show business if your parents aren't rich is easy and attainable.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. I was actually like just like looking into somebody who almost played Batman, Army Hammer, and learning about his whole family thing. And
Oh,
oh
Armand
wow,
Hammer. Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
the, an empire built on borax.
yeah. Yeah, that guy like definitely has his own like share of like his own sins. But yeah, when you're coming from a messed up family, it's like, is this a monster of our own creation? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I take people occasionally to the Westwood Pierce Brothers cemetery when I do my tour guide gig because they want to see like Marilyn Monroe's grave and stuff like that. And the Armand Hammer mausoleum is fucking enormous, and it's right next to beloved character actor, star of Three's Company and Andy Griffith, Don Knotts is buried right next to the Armand Hammer family.
right on. Yeah. No, it's kind of funny like when you see like a lot of these like people and who are like you'd think are famous by their own talent and realize they don't have any. Like they're just completely like just nepotism legacy. Like
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I am still like this is a kind of a if nobody's done this already, this is a great idea for like a comic or something where it's a perfect like social commentary where every billionaire in America is either thinks they're like a superhero or some kind of hilariously themed supervillain, and everybody else, the populace, is just at their whims. You know, perfect.
yeah. So I think she's yeah, as you had mentioned earlier, she's kind of giving Batman like the layout of kind of like what happened and like how the stress of like doing all these like shipments from the mob got to Max and like that made him think he was a god.
That
Like
literally, that literally never happens. Like the weight of the crimes and the fucking atrocities that are being done by billionaires affects them. That is a fantasy more unbelievable than a man being so traumatized by the death of his parents that he assumes a moniker of a bat and fights crime. That is way less absurd than rich people being affected in any way by the evil deeds that they do on a regular basis.
I mean, look at the size
Whatever
of this
makes you say
guy's
that, Rivers.
look at the size of this guy's skyscraper and tell me he doesn't have like a legion of lawyers to get him out of like any consequences.
Yeah. Well, but then again, it's like, the specter of Musk is always creeping up in the back of my head now because you're like, oh, I mean, somebody would have taken care of this. Somebody would have intervened here, and it's like, well, no, not if I mean, you don't even have to limit it to him. It's like somebody should have stopped Kanye West from selling a swastika T-shirt at the Super Bowl, but nobody did.
I completely forgot about that. I think I was so
Fuck.
buried under like the Kendrick stuff.
I like that you forgot. It was 2 days ago, man.
Yeah.
For those listening, yes, we are 48 hours removed from that event.
Yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, they did. Shopify did step in and was like, "Hey, no, no." They shut his website down, so
Oh my
that's good.
gosh.
Yeah, so he'll be on Hollywood Boulevard at some point selling them.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna find a market. It's just, is this the market you want? Like
Obviously, yes.
yeah. Well, just like the way he doubles down on all that stuff, it's just like you are just committed to sending your career into the grave, man. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, well, it's already it's already there. It's just people. It's weird. Was like at the beginning of last week, right after the Grammys, the way he was talking, it was like he was kind of actually just talking about music, and he sounded very more coherent than he has in years. And then like the next day is when like the Twitter storm started, and I was like, oh shit, he is yeah. So he's not letting anybody forget that he's fucking insane. But that is kind of what we're talking about here. Like in 1993, the idea of somebody on that level going that publicly insane was out of the question. But like the creators of this show, the forecasters of the future couldn't have imagined social media and like direct access to communication the way that we have it now, which is ultimately the issue. But yeah, so you watch this and you're like, well, surely like the board of directors would kick this guy off because he's nuts. And it's like, yeah, in 1993 perhaps, but nowadays it's like, no, Elon Musk will just walk into the White House dressed as Zeus at some point. Like it's not out of the question.
yeah, that's already on my 2025 bingo card. Like,
Yeah, him or Zuckerberg, one of them. Yeah, actually, that's one of King Tut's powers is that he can make Batman dance, and and Elon Musk has the same power. He can make Trump dance. So
that's amazing. Yeah, it really has kind of become an Ouroboros of like who's playing who. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, we won't go too much in that direction because I'm sure that you listeners want to hear some positive Batman related stuff and take your minds off of the sad reality we all live in right now. But yeah, so Zeus is about to put some tariffs on. I'm kidding. And on those shipments. But yeah, so Batman
actually, no one is more fucked over by Trump than Zeus. If you as a shipping magnate, as the biggest shipping man in Gotham.
That's what pulled him over the edge.
That's what did it.
Gosh.
Yes, he was a normal guy, and then he couldn't import fucking cheap flat screens from China anymore, and he went nuts.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Actually, well, it's fun. In 1993, that is NAFTA. That's when NAFTA came in. So who knows? Maybe.
That's amazing. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah. It's all connecting the dots. Yeah.
Yeah. He was he was really big into importing avocados from Guatemala, and that just NAFTA fucked his whole shit up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Rivers, I love you, man. Like but yeah, so I guess like she goes back to the condo, right? And like this is what I don't understand. Sorry, she's going back to Zeus's place. And this is what I don't understand. When she gets in the elevator, she gets stopped half. Oh, she snuck Batman in, like
in the trunk. Yeah.
And he goes like kind of John McClane, like sneaking in the air duct. And
how does Zeus's assistant not know that there are cameras everywhere, literally including in the air vents? It seems like she would be somewhat aware of the schematics of this Greek temple skyscraper.
Yeah, she should be on top of that, considering like how close she is to the guy. Like,
Also,
yeah.
Batman has ropes. Just fucking climb up the building. Like, there's this need for like interior stealth.
Well, he doesn't
Like I
even
said,
need the ropes. He can just take the Batwing back up. Like,
yeah. Like I said, just wait till he goes to bed.
What are the gargoyle guns, though, man, guys?
that's like a pea shooter against like a F-22 Raptor, dude. Like,
Right. Yeah, that thing doesn't have guidance missiles. We know it does. If we're assuming this is the same Batwing from the 1989 film, it's like
Vulcan cannons, dude. Like,
he's got ways of overcoming gargoyles.
yeah, unless it's the same like target ratio of that. Because remember, he couldn't hit Jack Nicholson for shit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, Batman is always standing on top of gargoyles, so we know he's a master of the craft. Like he knows how to get around a gargoyle.
Yeah. But yeah, like, so when she's going up in the elevator, she's headed to the top floor and it stops in the middle. And like one of the thugs grabs her and says, like, boss's orders or something. So we think that she's like, being kidnapped or something. But then the next time we see her, she's just walking around freely. I'm like, what just happened? There's like a deleted scene like that just happened. Like,
yeah, that's what I assumed.
yeah, because like it ends up with her like getting brought onto, because Zeus has like this giant cannon thing that he had talked about in the beginning, like that Gordon has. He's like mounted this like big laser electro cannon on the side of his building. And yeah, like they're bringing the police. I don't think it's even headed for his building. I think it's just gently cruising through the sky. And he's like, look at those stupid mortals, trying to fly like Icarus or whatever. And so he shoots even his thugs are like, don't shoot the cops, you idiot.
Oh, that is like as far as like the animation and stuff goes, that's my favorite part. That scene where the police blimp is like Hindenburging down to the ground was fucking rad.
Yeah, they enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think this is actually the first like recorded instance of like actually one of the villains actually going for the one of the blimps.
The easiest, most obvious target in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you would think they just like first episode that'd be like the first thing they go for. Like the man bat would be like fuck you and swipe to one and made it go crash and be like maybe these blimps are filled with helium. Probably not a good idea.
No kidding.
Yeah. Also, I like that the blimp pretty obviously crashes into the ground where there's a bunch of pedestrians, and Cleo goes, "You could have killed someone." I was like, "I think he did. I'm pretty sure
he killed a lot of people.
Pretty sure he killed at least half a dozen people on the ground."
Yeah. Yeah, like, and so he's like, how dare you speak to Zeus that way? And like he says, like, don't worry, I shall cleanse you with the fires of Olympus. So he straps her to the top of like this like electric cannon, and he's like, I'm gonna purify you until like your godly form or whatever. And I forget like how Batman gets involved. Like, does he just like kind of like sneak up and like throw a batarang at the control panel?
Well, he's sneaking up, but then my favorite thing is that Zeus has a computer that just says intruder alert.
Yes.
And I want one of those. That's a hilarious, like, does it say other stuff? Because it seems like it's just a light bulb that just says intruder alert. And I think that would be a cool thing to have. Yeah. But no, and then he just looks down into the security camera that's in the air ducts, where you put those usually. And then he hits a trap door, and Batman goes down, and that's where he gets where he fights the snake, and that's where he fights the boar.
Yeah,
which again is like, you could have gone more Greek here, man. Give me the Cyclops, give me the Minotaur, give me the there's no shortage of Greek monsters based on real life animals.
What if he's going for the Augean stables and just like pelts Batman with horse shit? Like,
yeah, there we go. They had more options, but for some reason there's a snake. That was why they couldn't show that scene that explains how she got away from the henchman. They had to have 10 more seconds of Batman moaning as a snake strangled him.
Yeah. And yeah, like yeah, as you mentioned, like of all things, it's the warthog that like sends him flying off the side of the building. Like a
Oh
good
well,
animation on the warthog, but yeah, like
yeah. Well, also let's not get past the fact that again, I believe very much inspired by the 1966 Batman. He has bat snake repellent, where
oh yeah,
the snakes strangling him, and he, much like the shark on the famous scene in the helicopter in the Batman movie from the 60s, he's got his bat snake repellent, and that's how he does away with that one before having to get dragged around by the warthog, which doesn't seem interested in like goring him necessarily. Like, it seems like he
yeah.
could have just gotten out of its way and it would have been fine.
Like, have you considered letting go of it, Bruce? Like,
Yeah. It's yeah. Also, when are villains going to realize throwing Batman off a building never works? It's not
yeah,
work. It will never work.
yeah, and so like yeah, Zeus of course thinks he's like gone. He's like, farewell, my brother. It's like, yeah, one, why would you think that he's dead because he's Batman? And two, you already established you think he's a god. So why would you
Yeah,
think that a god would be killed by a pig?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think like he manages to, like kind of save Cleo at the last second, like throwing a battering at the computer panel. And so there's
Well,
like a
hold on. Now, did you make note of what his plan with the gun was?
I assume it was just fire at random stuff, but like maybe you caught better than I did.
So he never says what he's gonna like fire the gun at, right? But they do show the targeting thing where you see, the woman like, pinned up on the end of the gun, but the thing that is dead center that he's aiming at seemingly is the moon. And I was like, he's trying to blow up the moon with lightning, and in that case, save the girl.
Grew.
Save the girl and just let him do it. Who cares?
Or actually, or please tell me he's doing what Chairface Chippendale is doing in the first episode of The Tick, and like carving his name into the moon.
Yeah, I was like, it's the Mr. Show sketch. Like, we're gonna blow up the moon, except trying to blow up the moon with lightning is not that can't work because electricity you will find is not easily conducted in outer space, particularly from just an electrical node stationed on the Earth. So just let him do it. Like, if that's his evil plan, who gives a shit? Just let him do it.
He's aiming at the freaking moon.
He's not blowing up police headquarters. He's not blowing up Wayne Tower. He's not blowing up anything that Matt. Just let him shoot the moon.
Oh my gosh, how did I miss that? That's amazing.
Yeah, because that's his whole thing. Is like, I suppose he means it's like it's like the Tarkin with the Death Star, where it's like, this is a demonstration of this battleship's capabilities, but it's like, electricity doesn't do that. It doesn't go that far. That's fucking nuts. It doesn't matter how powerful this cannon is. Shoot the police station. Like, you've already established that you're willing to kill cops. Why are we shooting the moon? That's a downgrade from shooting a police vehicle.
I just picture like that Alexander guy, just like, no, let's see what happens. Like,
let him do it.
yeah,
Just let him do it.
that's what breaks him is just watching like the thing just like fade out into like the sky. Just like, I really thought it'd blow it up. Like,
Yeah. Well, he's gonna find out what Nikolai Tesla found out, which is like, conducting electricity through the air through a tremendous amount of space works sort of on paper, but you actually need a conductor to connect 2 points. That would very much go for the moon.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I cannot believe I missed that. That's amazing.
Yeah, because he's like, I will show them the power of Zeus. And you're like, okay, Batman, just save the chick and get the fuck out of there. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's his plan. Who cares?
yeah. So like,
he already he shot the fucking cops. Like, the cops are on the way. Save the girl and get out. Batman need not be involved. He's a cop killer who's gonna blow up the moon. Like, this problem takes care of itself.
Anybody see what happened to our blimp? I'm sure it'll turn up. Like,
yeah. Gordon's dumbass will be just going in there by himself. Like, well, I guess this is on me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that took me right out of it, dude. Holy crap. That's amazing. Yeah, so I guess like he's getting ready to fire off the thing, and
I think that's when
what happens?
yeah, that's when Batman shows up to the top floor and takes out the gargoyle guns or whatever. Because they
Yeah, that's what it
it's
was. Yeah,
yeah.
Which, by the way, are shooting directly at him for. I timed it like 3 seconds straight, just and he's just standing there, and then he gets out of the way, and you're like, these
yeah.
guns suck. This guy's an idiot. He's trying to shoot the moon. His guns don't fucking work. Like, just leave him alone.
Oh, Greek economics. They're working with what they got, man. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're in the 6-day work week. They're tired.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's when the he manages to get Cleo safe, and Zeus is like grabs his own lightning bolt thing to fire at Batman. Again, knocks him off the building, and that's where I think he's getting ready to like. What was he ready to do? He was just like sitting there, and then Batman manages to grab the lightning bolt. And my favorite part is when he grabs the lightning bolt, he hucks it at the cannon, and Zeus like just completely taken out of like his like god psychosis is just like, no, that's mine.
Yeah, and like dives after it and then falls off the building like 50 feet and
Yeah,
lands directly on his head.
like solid marble. Like,
Yeah, and he's fine.
yeah, like if
Yeah,
that's not like a harsh reality check that you're actually not a god, that you're in a
uh,
body cast after that, like,
Yeah,
and
well, and also
I totally thought he was going to like fall to like street level too, and I'm like, are we gonna watch this guy fucking die?
yeah,
yeah, well, and also like following, what I like I said, what I think they're going for in the first place. It's like this should knock him back to being normal again.
You
yeah.
would think so, yeah.
Like if we're following the King Tut line of thinking with this, that he should have to work his way back to being a supervillain from a humble Greek literature professor.
That makes me wonder, like, what would have happened if, like, Maxie, Zeus, and King Tut, like, met up? Does he, like, buy into his thing of, like, yes, you are a pharaoh? Or does he laugh in his face, like, you think you're a pharaoh? And, like, completely oblivious to his own delusion? Like,
Yeah, well, he quotes Pharaoh. He says, look upon my works, ye mighty in despair, which
I
is
did catch that.
Ozymandias, yeah, which is supposed to be, I think, Ramses the second.
Hmm.
So he's getting his streams crossed there.
Yeah. And yeah, speaking of crossing the streams, yeah, he's the next shot we have of him is him going to Arkham, like, on the Hannibal Lecter, like, wheelie thing. And he's like, yes, I am truly home at, like Mount, I can no longer be anywhere but Mount Olympus. Sees Poison Ivy. He's like, there is the goddess Demeter of the harvest. And she's like, okay. And then sees like Two-Face, as you mentioned, who is like claiming to be the Roman god Janus.
Yeah,
And he sees Joker and thinks like he's like Hermes, like the trickster god. And by the way, all of them are wearing their costumes. They're not wearing like the straight jackets. Like Arkham's like rehabilitation treatment sucks ass.
look,
So he just realizing this now?
look, this is therapy, man. Like you gotta hold space, is what we say. You gotta hold space. You gotta give him a little bit of leeway. If he wants to be a clown, you gotta let him be a clown. Yeah. Although having Poison Ivy just have a garden is hilarious. Or like you don't think that's a bad idea?
We've had the theory that she's just like secretly like selling cannabis to the Arkham guards, but yeah, that's a little over and obvious. Like,
Yeah, it's like just let Mister Freeze have his ice. Just let him have his ice gun. It'll be fine. Nothing's gonna happen.
but that's what made me laugh. Like, okay, so when he sees the other like Arkham inmates, is he thinking like is he doing other parallels? Like when he sees the Penguin, is he like, you are the ugliest eagle I have ever seen in my life? Like,
Oh, let's see. All right. Well, who's the ugly goddess Hephaestus? So who are we thinking? It's either the Penguin or maybe Killer Croc would be Hephaestus. Let's see. Catwoman. We probably have to go like Athena, maybe.
Freeze would be
Uh,
like Borealis or something. Like,
yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Yeah, there's they could have done more with that, but I did like this scene, and I do kind of almost feel like they wrote this first and then wrote the episode backwards from this, where
Yeah.
it's like somebody, because also worth noting, this is episode 60 of season 1. Like, they gotta be
Yeah.
just running out of shit at this point, where they're like, I don't know, man, he's like a Greek something, fuck it, whatever, man.
Yeah, like when he sees Bane, does he think he's like Heracles and says, "Come to me, my son," and then just gets suplexed over his head? Like,
Well, again, he's jacked. Like, he should be able to fight more. I don't,
yeah,
I do like that they show that picture of him and Cleo together when they're like normal, and he's still just fucking enormous. And you're like,
oh yeah,
yeah. So
he is inhaling that yogurt every morning. Like,
yeah.
Terry loves yogurt.
yeah,
Greek yogurt.
yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how the episode ends. He's just like mighty Zeus is home, and it's like, yeah, with all the free drugs that you can get, like,
Yeah, I like that. Batman's like, we have to help him. It's like, well, this kind of just this is just sort of putting him in jail, but okay.
Yeah, I think Batman should know by now that Arkham doesn't really help anybody. So
no,
Yeah, well, Cleo should know this too. Like, she knows, like, if you're introducing Batman into this equation, this is only going to go one of two ways.
So I think that was like the end of the episode, right? Is him naming off everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what would you give this episode out of 5 Greek gods rivers?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, this is one, like, I watched all these, as we've talked about, as a kid. This is my
Yeah.
first, like, modern day rewatch, but like I don't think I had ever seen this one before, but like all of the ones that you've had me on for, it's like they're fun to break down, but ultimately you're just like, who gives a shit? Like, this guy sucked. He was trying to shoot the moon. Batman beat his ass in 2 seconds. Like, he's not very smart. So I don't know. This is I mean, you could easily just skip this. So I don't know. I'll give it like 2.5. It exists. I'll say that.
All right. How are you, Braydon? What'd you give this out of 5?
I think I'm giving it a 2.5 out of 5. I mean, it was kind of cool, like seeing like the artistic style stuff and like, yeah, like Greek references and stuff. But I think that it was very half baked, and I mean, it's Maxie Zeus, so like, there's only so much you can kind of do with him. But
But like, nobody knows that character. Like, nobody,
Right.
no normal person is going to be like, hey, you can't disrespect the legendary character of Maxie Zeus. Like, the fact that they have a whole writer's room full of people and they didn't just get a whiteboard and write every Greek mythology thing they could think of on the board and be like, let's do this, let's do this. Like, if you're going to go for it, go for it. This is your only Greek mythology based character. Like, why not? I feel like they didn't do enough Greek shit. That's the real long and short of it.
you know what just hit me? Wonder Woman exists in this universe, which means that real Zeus exists in this universe. So what does he think of all this? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. He'd probably tell him, like, bro, you can't actually shoot the moon with lightning. I've tried. That was like
This is
the
my
first
thing, man. You don't try
Yeah.
that.
That was the first thing I did when I was liberated from Titan's head, was tried to shoot the moon with lightning, and turns out the upper atmosphere pretty well absorbs all the electrical discharge.
Yeah, I tried to write my name in the moon. It didn't work, so don't try.
Yeah,
It's not gonna work. this time.
We have limitations as gods, sir.
stick to the ladies.
Yeah, the limitation being the ionosphere.
Yeah.
But I think I give this episode a 3 out of 5 myself, because I thought it was even though it's looking at it, he's just Maxie Zeus with the mental illness. Like, I thought it was fun. Like, this is probably like the second time I saw this episode, because think I saw it at least once in the initial run.
I like the part where he wasted the blimp. That was rad.
I know, I can't believe that was like the first time like somebody's actually like taken one down.
Yeah.
So,
Have they ever like gone into detail about the blimps? Like, why someone thought that was a good idea?
No, just some weird aesthetic that they have, like that weird, like almost steampunk thing that
20s
you have,
kind
like
of, yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, no,
I,
pardon. Diesel punk, sir. Diesel punk.
I guess diesel punk,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess
20s,
I guess
30s.
the Hindenburg didn't happen in that universe.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about Beaux-Arts giving way to Art Deco right now.
Oh, yes. All right, folks, that is the episode for this week. Thank you for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman the Animated Series. Next week's episode will be Read My Lips. Where can we find you on the internet, Rivers?
You can find me on all forms of social media at Rivers Langley, and you can check out my podcast. It's called The Goods from the Woods. It comes out every week, although this week, one co-host has COVID and the other co-host had work things, so it's going to be delayed, but typically comes out on Tuesday. I'm going to try to have something.
I'm curious. Sam has a work thing and Carter has COVID?
No,
Or
other,
Sam has COVID. Oh, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah. You're in our we have a fun Discord, by the way. Adam's there. We're at linktree.com/thegoodspod. Sam, yeah, Sam's not. We podcasted together, and then later that night he was like, "Man, I just tested positive for COVID." I was like, "Fuck," but I'm good. Carter's good, but
You're out of the woods.
Yeah, we're erring on the side of caution as far as that goes. But then anyway, whatever. No one needs to know this. The point is, I'm very diligent about getting episodes out. We have, at this point over between Patreon episodes and regular episodes, over 700 episodes to check out. We are the longest running independent comedy podcast in Los Angeles, California. We have had a bajillion guests and a lot of fun every week. So check us out, The Goods from the Woods. And I think that's all I've got for the moment. But yeah, that's it.
And I'm on the Patreon episode too for like a couple.
Oh
years
yeah.
ago.
Oh yeah, we should do another one, man. Both of y'all. Actually, I was thinking about somebody. How you scroll on the whatever on Instagram and they just feed you random shit. I was reminded that the only person to ever win win an Academy Award and a Razzie in the same year was Sandra Bullock, who won for The Blind Side for Best Actress and All About Steve for the Worst Actress. So I want to do All About Steve because that is one of the fucking most insane movies ever made. So
let's see.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know what that one is.
Dude, don't read shit about it. You just have to go. It's fucking. I mean, it's fucking nuts. It's my favorite kind of bad movie, which is huge stars, and it makes no goddamn sense. And again, much like we talked about in this episode, how like you would think these people have teams around them to stop them from getting involved in something so fucking crazy, but they don't. So this is the Max Zeus of movies, where it's like, why didn't someone in Bradley Cooper's team be like, no, you're Bradley Cooper, don't do this? So yeah, if either of y'all want to hop on for an All About Steve, I gotta do a rewatch on that. It's been about probably maybe 15 years at this point since it came out, but that was one of those. Somebody gave me the Iggy early on. They're like, this thing's fucking crazy. This is like Geely level crazy. I was like, ooh, right, yes,
I'm 100% in. Then
I'm down for that. Yeah, we could figure.
It's one of those movies where just every choice they make is wrong. Oh, fantastic. It's supposed to be a romantic comedy, but Sandra Bullock's character is more like Michael Myers or Jason, like the way she's presented. It's fucking fantastic.
All right, yeah, we could figure that out another time. Maybe we can get that sorted. Yeah, I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And as I said, I also want you to watch do Abraxas as well with Jesse Ventura.
Ooh, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. If I gotta get that movie so bad, and I checked, and I think it's on YouTube as well. So it definitely falls in for one of your movies. So even if it's not with me, I want you to do that movie.
Okay, all right, deal.
All right, and you can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond the Back at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast, and we are on YouTube now at youtube.com/ at Beyond the Backcast. Check us out there, rate, review, subscribe, help us out there or wherever you get your podcasts. And where can we find you on the internet, Braydon?
You can find me on Instagram at Alfred is Zaddy. And we
Zaddy.
post lots of things about the show. And if you go on our Instagram, Beyond the Backcast, you can find our link to our Discord, the Batcave, where we talk about all kinds of things Batman related. And yeah, we're still waiting on that Matt Reeves sequel, but don't worry, I'm sure I'll get that by the time I retire.
I'm sure like Avatar 3 will probably come out first before we get Batman 2.
Avatar 7, probably.
And you can follow me on at StumpChuckman on Instagram. That's my personal account there. And as I said, thanks for joining us in the Batcave Rivers to talk about Batman the animated series. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.